Good evening, and welcome to Hello, It's Us, Perspectives on Inclusion. This program is dedicated to educating the general public about issues important to people with disabilities, and we hope that you'll recognize that those issues are important to people. The same issues that are important to people with disabilities are important to the community at large, because people with disabilities are a significant part of the general community. Hello, It's Us is brought to you through a collaboration between the University of Iowa Center for Disabilities and Development, our friends at Uptown Bill's Coffee Shop, and the great people here at Public Access Television. My name is Mike Honig. I work at the University of Iowa Center for Disabilities and Development, and I'm a co-host of Hello, It's Us. Keith?
Hi, I'm Keith Ruff. I'm the other co-host. I'm a retired disability advocate and almost finished with my book.
I didn't know that you ever retired from being an advocate, Keith.
I didn't retire.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's good to have you both with us today.
Thank you.
Well, we're very excited today to have two international guests, and I believe that they are the furthest away from home of guests that we've ever had on our show. So, but they're well known for a lot of other things as well. And then we have a returning visitor to join us as well. So I'm going to ask each of you. We have Raphael and Novat, who are from Tanzania, and we have Derrick Willis, who is here with us from the Center for Disabilities and Development, and is playing a big role in the International Fellows Program, which we'll talk about very soon. So, Raphael, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us your name and what your background is in disability.
Okay, my name is Raphael Mwambalaswa. As I have been introduced, I come from Tanzania, and there I work as a teacher at Morogoro Teachers College. Then, about disability, I am a person with a disability. Yeah, so I am interested in dealing with the matters of matters related to disability in my country. Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, Novat.
I'm Novat and Rukwago, advocate for issues of people with disabilities. I'm working with the University of Dar es Salaam in the project of Tanzania Sign Language Training and Development, the program that prepares sign language interpreters that could support their access to services for people with deaf or hearing impairment.
Great. That sounds like a worthwhile project, and something that we're always talking about in the United States in terms of interpreter certification and training. So it's a big issue. And Derrick.
Derrick Willis, Associate Director for the Iowa's University Center for Excellence on Developmental Disabilities, and I've been here, I'm approaching a year now. So,
wow.
Congratulations.
In July it'll be a year, so I feel like I am a part of Iowa now, more so than I was the first time that I came. So, yeah.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah.
Derrick, to start off, could you tell us a little about the International Fellows Program?
Yes. So this program is sponsored by the U.S. Department of State, their Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs. And we saw this opportunity last November and felt like it would be a good exchange for us to get engaged with. As you may or may not know, the Iowa UCED is very involved in employment for people with disabilities. We have a number of initiatives that we focus on, and a few key staff who focus on employment. And so we saw this as an opportunity to bring two individuals from either Kenya, Tanzania, or Uganda over to the United States to study for us for a month. on how we look at employment from a policy standpoint, from a practice standpoint, and how we help families and businesses really see the benefits of employment for people with disabilities. So we saw this opportunity, and we applied, and we were fortunate enough to get Novat and Raphael here about a couple of weeks ago.
That's good.
It's great. And now, Novat and Raphael, we'd like to hear how you learned about the
Yes.
fellowship.
Okay, maybe I begin.
Okay.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I have a friend of mine in Tanzania who is doing a PhD at the University of Dar es Salaam. He got the information about this program. He applied, and he saw it better to share with me. So I did apply. Unfortunately, he didn't get an opportunity to be selected as one of the members of this program. So I became one of the people who represent my country with a project which is all about addressing the issues related to people with disabilities.
Great. Those connections are so important. So how about you, Novat? How did you find out?
Yeah, by chance, I may say, one of my colleagues who is working with the Federation of Disabled People's Organizations in Tanzania, where the Federation is working together with the HI International, and through the Federation is where the Handicap International shared first this information, calling upon any individuals who are interested in this aspect to join and see how they can work to promote the employment for people with disabilities. So it was good that I have ever worked with the Federation, so it was easy to reach me among the first individuals in Tanzania to get information.
Great.
Mike, I'll add that this program is called the Professional Fellowship Program, and the partners with it are AUCD, the Association of University Centers on Disabilities, ICI, the Inclusion
Institute for Community
Institute
Inclusion.
for Community Inclusion out of Boston, Humanities Inclusion, and then they partner with the state Department of State to offer this program as well. So, but the official title is the Professionals Fellowship Program.
And does it only do exchanges between the U.S. and Africa, or are there other parts of the world that are touched as well?
This particular program they selected 10 individuals across from Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania this year. I'm not sure if they only focus on Africa each year, but this was the year that they was.
Well, we're lucky because we've got two great fellows in our community for a month. And
Could either Raphael or Novat, or both of you, tell us where Tanzania is located?
one of you want to take that? Where Tanzania is located?
Okay, fine. Let me take a lead. Tanzania is located on the eastern part of Africa, along the coasts, and it is bordering a number of countries. So, to mention among the many countries it is bordering is Uganda, Kenya, we have Zambia, we have Mozambique, we have Malawi, we have Rwanda, we have Burundi, we have the Democratic Republic of Congo. Yeah, so that's where we can find Tanzania.
Well, I met with a friend of mine at work this morning, and she said that her daughter-in-law had been to Tanzania, and she said it was a beautiful country.
Of course it is.
And she said there were, I don't know exactly why she made this reference, but she said there were a lot of Catholics there.
Yes, the leading religious communities, Catholics.
Okay.
Then other religious dominions, though there never been any census to give the exact data, but given the number of churches and people who are attending church, one can say that from the point of view that Catholics are many or are leading religious dominion.
Okay.
What is the climate like?
Okay, Tanzania, the climate is hot and humid along the coast, but northern part is cool and temperate. Yes.
Likewise, the southern highlands of Tanzania are a bit cold compared to the other parts of the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if they're higher up and then the interior, so that are cooler than the coastline. Then.
Yeah.
We have Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
Here.
And the eastern border is the Indian Ocean, right?
Yeah.
I learned that
And
recently.
that's the hottest one.
Right.
Keith, when you were in South Africa, both Keith and I have been fortunate enough to be in South Africa.
Yes.
When you were in South Africa, did you dip your toe in the Indian Ocean?
Yes, I did.
I did too.
Okay.
Yeah, we have more than that. We have rivers.
Ah.
We have lakes like Lake Victoria, Lake Tanganyika, Lake Nyasa.
Okay.
So that's very interesting in our country.
Yeah, I love geography, and
Yeah.
I never thought I would get to the Indian Ocean, but we made it.
Here's a question for either one of you. What is the favorite food?
We like to talk about food. You know?
Okay. Yeah. I've getting that you talk much about food. Many different from the experience we have back home, because for you have a number of options about food, but back in Tanzania it's about 4 or 5 options that you may have as food. Our favorite food is rice.
Yes.
We have hard porridge. Now a few of you know about hard porridge,
Yes.
but in Tanzania it's well known as ugali. It's made from we use the maize flour. So from maize flour you can boil and make the flour hard and have it as food. Then we have Irish potatoes, and we have bananas,
Yes.
and we have wheat and sorghum. So we have just a few options of food. That's why I think that's why we don't talk much about food, because we know we have some foods in common in Tanzania.
Being on the coast, do you have a lot of seafood?
Seafood, a few communities that use seafood,
Okay.
especially those who live along the coast.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not in the center of the country.
No.
then.
Yeah.
See, that's a big thing here. Like you said, we have food. We seem to love to talk about it, and even to have food shipped in from the coast. Like
Okay.
seafood, and so that's probably why
Okay.
we. I don't know. I think we get fascinated by our food.
Yeah.
And what might be some things you mentioned a couple already. So maybe you've mentioned the Mount Kilimanjaro, and a number of lakes, and any other things that Tanzania is particularly known for, famous for, or
Okay.
We have a lot of national parks.
Oh.
Yeah, we have Mikumi National Park. We have Serengeti. We have quite a lot of them. I think some of them my colleague will mention. But those are very interesting. They are having a lot of animals. Although people who are with visual impairment can't go there and see.
Oh, you can't go pet the rhinos or anything, huh?
yeah, because we depend most of the times touching with our
Right.
fingers, so you can't go and touch an animal. Yeah.
Have they made those parks accessible to people in wheelchairs? Some of them, or
Yeah, I may say a few of them. The popular known as the Serengeti National Park and the Mikumi, they have a road passing across those national parks, so it is easy for a person with a wheelchair to access. However, they can't go deep inside in those national parks. But luckily enough that these animals tend to come along the road. I don't know why, but sometimes you may find giraffe, you may find rhinos, you may find these buffaloes just eating along the road that cross the national park. So it is easy for a person who has any impairment to have a view and get a feeling that he is in the national park, and he understands that now this is the treasure we have in our area.
we were? I don't know if Keith, if you did this. I was fortunate to go on safari. Well,
Yes, I
and
do.
it was so fascinating, and I didn't, just the smells and the sounds and the
Yes.
animals coming up.
Yeah.
It was just amazing.
Okay, yeah.
Did you go in the morning or evening?
In the morning,
Okay.
I think we left about 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the animals are not out during the day.
Right.
Yeah, in most cases, these animals are wandering early in the morning. If you wanted to see those animals, which are rarely coming out of the forests, if you get there in the morning, it is easy, and you can see a number of animals and different creatures living in those national parks.
You know what was really ironic though was we right at lunchtime, right at noon, which we call lunchtime.
Okay.
There was a big traffic jam along the road, and we couldn't figure out why. And it turned out that there was a leopard that had a kill, and he was treeing like a springbok, I think it was.
Okay.
So he was having his lunch right at the right time, So,
Mhm.
but that was interesting to those of us that had never experienced that before. So.
This question is for both of you. What meetings and conferences have you attended so far in America?
Okay, since we arrived here, we have had a number of interactions, and not only the conferences, but different meetings and activities taking place that brings together or partners or people who are working in the field of facilitating the access to employment for people with disabilities. For example, we participated in the Iowa Coalition Integrated for Employment.
I'm impressed.
And we are just impressed to participate in the board meeting, and it's in rare cases that you find people who are not members participating in the board. But we are also interested to learn about your projects, and also they gave us a chance to know about the members, their activities, their involvement, and to give us a chance to tap into their experiences and their knowledge and we and what they can share with us while we are in America, in the United States, and sometimes if we get in touch and get to share some of the resources they have.
So that group, I was impressed that you remembered the name of it. That's So that group is made up of people like from Voc Rehab, Iowa Vocational Rehabilitation. What the DD? Help me out, Derrick, because I'm not that familiar, or any of you. But I think the DD Council is involved, and Human Services is probably involved. So.
It's a number of state agency folks that are there. It's just anyone that has work that's related to employment that is a part of that coalition. And that started with an initiative called PI, Partnerships in Employment, through a grant with the Administration on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities there. And so they've continued. We went to a core meeting. They'll be going to a coalition meeting later this month that will bring all kind of partners to the table to talk about what's happening in employment for people with disabilities as well.
That's great. And I know you also visited David Mitchell, right? With maybe actually we should back up a little bit, if you don't mind, because I think it's important for our listeners and viewers to know about both Novat and Raphael are here because of a particular interest in disability, and you talked about it a little bit when you introduced yourselves. But they're going to go back home and focus on a particular, what they're calling projects. So maybe you could both tell us about what your project is, and then we can kind of jump back into talking about what some of the places that you visited and how you think that might tie into your project. So who would like to start?
I think I better start.
That's good.
Currently, I'm a student at the University of Dar es Salaam. So I have seen a condition for students with disabilities at the University of Dar es Salaam. I can say it's not good that much if I compare to the condition that I see in the United States of America. Yeah, the same applies to the employees and those who are seeking jobs in various community businesses, and the universities and colleges in particular. I see the situation is not good. So I had to build my interest within this area of employment. And I have touched students because they are prospective employees in the future. So I decided to come up with a project that seeks to involve the higher learning institutions and colleges in Tanzania to promote access to employment for people with disabilities. And within this project, I have three main objectives. One of the challenges we face in Tanzania is negative attitude. Negative attitudes towards people with disabilities. So I am targeting to sort of eradicate such negative attitude. Then secondly, we don't have reasonable accommodation and supportive services within so many institutions in Tanzania. Yeah, so I intend to bring the experience I get here regarding reasonable accommodation back to my country and see if it will lead to changes within my country. Yeah, then the third objective is all about the policies, the regulations, and the programs for people with disabilities. They are also not that much well, though there are some underground initiatives to make sure that people with disabilities are included, but they are not well organized. So I'm here to get some experience regarding what is going on in policies, what's going on in regulations and the programs, especially at the University of Iowa. The University Center of Disabilities Development, I think, if I have
That's us.
correctly. Yeah. So I want to bring changes to my country in relation to those objectives.
That is one ambitious project.
Yeah.
This is for both.
Oh, hold on just a second. Let's hear about Novat's project.
Okay. Yeah. My project is targeting to promote accessibility to job opportunities for people with disabilities in Tanzania. there is a challenge of the system or the supportive system for people with disabilities to access employment, starting with the point of access to the advertisements on access to information regarding the employment opportunities, and also the information being in the formats that are not accessible or are not disability friendly. There are some information that are provided in the media, provided in the internet, but are not accessible to most of people according to their needs. And we have a challenge of pre-perceived opinion of most of the business or employing institutions that it is expensive to employ people with disabilities considering their needs. So to combat that, I came with a proposal that we need to have a system or program that supports people with disabilities who are seeking employment and who have all academic qualifications, that they get connected with the employment opportunities or to institution or business who are hiring individuals with different expertise. This is what we have learned up to now, that for example in United States or in Iowa you have this called vocational rehabilitation services,
Yeah.
which brings people with disabilities and connect them with institutions or business and get them equipped with the skills while they are working, and also trying to identify their potentiality and their ability to work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be establishing the advisory committee of experts or people who are working with the disability community, so that they can advise and put in place different strategies to get people with disabilities connected with the employment. Also, I'm planning to have the media programs which at least raise awareness to the public at large, to know the ability of people with disabilities, their potentiality, and the role models of people with disabilities who are now employed in different fields, so that they can demonstrate that people with disabilities can be employed, can work, and they can be competent in all the fields of work.
And if you don't mind, we'll be interested to know about how the media assists transformations in regarding to the services for people with disabilities.
You'd like us to talk about that now?
Yeah. Not now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because we sure can. We would love to, Keith and I, and there are some people over at CDD, and there's actually, it's really interesting, and I don't know if we could connect with her, but there is a person on campus at the University of Iowa who teaches a class called Disability in the Media.
Okay.
And if you would like to talk to her, she's a friend of Caitlin.
Okay.
So I'm sure that Caitlin would be, or actually I've spoken in her class, so we'll make that happen. It's another to-do list, right? But you know what's cool? What's cool is I was just sitting here listening to the two of you talk, and I was a little bit familiar with your projects, but I hadn't really realized how closely the two connect. Because if you're educating and you're learning about attitudes and trying to break down barriers and find out about reasonable accommodations and change policy, then you're going to have a lot easier time helping people with disabilities to actually go to work.
Yeah. That's why we say that we have learned a lot, because the programs that you are learning, especially in Iowa, to support people with disabilities to get connected with the work opportunities, that's what brings us connected. That, for example, the project proposed by Raphael is like to prepare, first of all, people with disabilities to get them equipped with the skills as academicians or with academic credentials, then to get these institutions who are prospective employers, that they change policies, they have positive attitude. Then it comes in the middle when we have this advisory council that meet with the individuals with disabilities who are job seekers. It will be easy to get a positive reception in the institutions that we will approach and try to partner with.
Sure. Well, I hate to do this, but we are just about out of time. In fact, we are running out on time. So, Keith, do you want to wrap us up here?
Yes. Thank you for coming. And look for our show coming up next week.
Which,
Have a good week.
and thanks.
Thank you
thanks.
for having us.
Yes.
Thank you.
And thank you for explaining so explicitly about your country.
Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.